Boom, multi-million-dollar business. He said people who meant to call his competitors call him because they can't remember their competitor's name. They remember Java Jacket. Wouldn't you like people calling you instead of your competitors because they remember your name? Maybe a little alliteration is going to help. Next is I. I is for iambic meter. When you put it in a beat, you make it easy to repeat. When you put it in a beat, you make it easy to repeat. I can't believe I ate the... Interesting. You may not have heard that slogan for years, yet it was on the tip of your tongue. It was on the top of your mind. Wouldn't you like people repeating your slogan, word for word, months, years after the fact? Quick example of that. I'm going to say 7 common words, yet I bet most of the people in the room will be able to tell me exactly who said them and finish the phrase. You ready? And now, for the rest of the story. Who said that? There are thousands of broadcasters, and he turned generic words into genius by giving them distinctive I, inflection, and iambic meter. Here's my question to you. Do you have one phrase that you say with such distinctive inflection that people can repeat it and mimic it immediately after hearing it first? If you do, they've just become your word-of-mouth ambassador. All right, R is for rhyme. Rhyme is sublime. A-I-R. A for alliteration, I for iambic meter, R for rhyme. The U.S. government was very concerned about injuries in car accidents. So they mounted a multi-million-dollar campaign to try to convince people to wear their safety belts. And here's what they came up with. Buckle up for safety. Duke Ellington said, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. No one was moved to put on their safety belt. So they went back to the drawing board. Or as George Carlin said, used to say, what did we go back to before there were drawing boards? See, if your slogan isn't getting the eyebrows up, if people can't repeat it, it's back to the drawing board. They went back to the drawing board, they came up with a rhyme, and I bet you know what it is. Click it or ticket. Folks, that's buy-in. When you get half of a room saying your slogan, that's buy-in. More importantly, this is not just about semantics. Injuries have gone down because people are complying with the slogan. Here's my question. What can people repeat word for word from what you said? All right, one more, well actually, 2 more quick ideas, then it's time for another exercise. Best practice number 4. Turn ideas into images, make your concepts concrete. Turn your ideas into images, make your concepts concrete. This is based on something a friend of mine, Marilyn Mobley with Edelman, told me. They were doing a survey for one of their clients, and they were interviewing schoolyard children and asking them what sound barnyard animals make. So when they asked them what sound sheep make, what'd they say? Bah. Asked them what sound cows make, what'd they say? Asked them what sound ducks make, what'd they say? They said, Aflac. They did. They said Aflac. Now, if you're thinking, Sam, what does that have to do with me as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? What is an Aflac? If our business name is nonsensical, people can't relate to it. Why would they want to do business with a company when they don't even know what the name means? So in my pop book, I call this the Aflac technique. And I ask you, how can you turn your idea into an image? They said, okay, what's an Aflac like in the real world? Well, it's kind of like a duck saying Aflac. Now, there's another insurance company that had the same problem. They had a nonsensical name that didn't mean anything to people. Who am I talking about? Geico, government employees insurance company. You're going to run right out and do business with government employees insurance company. No, they turned it into, they tripled their market share in the next 2 years. That is the bottom line benefits that we're talking about, is messaging what it is you care about so other people care about it. Now, how can you Aflac your image? Well, Chris Eisler, who's with Dunn Brothers Coffee, one of our 3 finalists. Chris, will you stand up, please? Give him a hand, folks. He's one of our finalists for the British Airways face-to-face competition. All right, now Chris is going to be talking about coffee, so guess what Chris is going to be holding up in his pitch this afternoon? A bag of coffee. Props, folks, because you want people to see what you're saying. One of my clients, I'm the pitch coach for Springboard. We've helped entrepreneurs get $5 billion in funding. Robin Chase of Zipcar, Gail Goodman of Constant Contact. And one of my clients, you know what she created? A receipt aggregator. Okay, you just getting out your wallets already? See, if we can't relate to it, we don't want it, we won't remember it, we're not going to turn into a word-of-mouth advisor. So how did she start? She brought up her big purse and she started digging around. And she says, I know they're in here somewhere. And then she brought out a little piece of paper and she said, after about 10 seconds of scrounging around trying to pull out receipts from her purse, she said, did you know 67% of business travelers cannot find one or more of their receipts from their travels? Did you know the majority of those people will never file for reimbursement of those travel expenses? Did you know that the majority of those will never get paid back? Did you know, and she was off and running because she made the receipt aggregator visual. She turned her concept into a concrete. So I'm asking you, if you're talking about something, how can you turn it into something concrete so we see what you're saying? Because when people go, I see now, look what's happening with their eyebrows. Now they get it. Now you're going to get it. All right, next idea, then it's time for another exercise. Best practice number 5. Turn an elevator speech into an elevator connection. Turn a one-way elevator speech into a two-way elevator connection. How many of you saw the movie Beaches with Bette Midler? Do you remember that great line in there? Enough about me. What do you think about me? Most elevator speeches are me, 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 me. Here is how from now on, when people say, what do you do? We're not going to tell them the setup. I'm on a speaking tour with my sons. We're in Colorado. We have a night free, so we go down to the Hotel Concierge. We say, what do you suggest? He took one look at my sons. He said, you got to go to D&B's. We were from Maui at the time. We had no idea what he was talking about. We said, what's D&B's? And he didn't explain. Because if he had tried to explain what D&B's was, well, it's kind of like a sports bar, but it's not really a sports bar. It's kind of like the longer he talked, the more confused we would have become. Instead, he asked a question. He said, have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese? D&B's is like a Chuck E. Cheese for adults. Boom, 7 words. We knew exactly what it was, and we wanted to go there. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do, and I'll give you an example, and then the 3 steps. I'm speaking at Inc. 500. We're working on everyone's elevator connections.